Have you ever thought, is this just me when struggling to stay organized, start tasks, or manage time? For those of us over 50, these challenges might not be just aging. They could be ADHD hiding in plain sight for decades. I'm Jami Shapiro, host of Grandma Has ADHD, and I'm building a community where your experiences matter. Whether you're diagnosed, questioning, or simply curious, you're not alone. Our Facebook group is filled with vibrant, understanding people over 50 who share their stories, strategies, and yes, even their struggles, with plenty of laughter along the way. Ready to find your people? Join our growing Grandma Has ADHD Facebook community. Please like and subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen and share it with someone who might need to hear they're not alone, because ADHD doesn't have an age limit and neither does understanding yourself better. Together, we're changing the conversation about ADHD after 50. Come be part of the story. Hello, and welcome to one of the more unique episodes of Grandma Has ADHD. I am your host, Jami Shapiro, and I am joined again by my co-creator of the Sparkler Society, one of my best friends, bridesmaids, and fellow middle-aged woman, Lynn Layfield. Hi.
Hey, nice to see you. I am reporting from my dad's house, as you know, his second bedroom. And, behind me is the vision of the Italian villa. That's what's over my head, just so you know.
Why don't you share why you've been at your dad's house? I think that's, kind of relevant to where we are in our lives right now.
Yeah. So my father is 85 and I love him dearly and I want him to be the next Betty White. So I am trying to get him to 100 plus. And, lately he's had some blood pressure issues. So I am over here to help him with his daily routine, which is really quite interesting because I realize me helping someone else with their routine is really interesting. We put some strategies in play and he did very well. So I am here sort of tag teaming with his girlfriend so that she can get a break. Caregivers need a break. And so today was my day. So, and then I'm just looking forward to spending time with my dad. I love spending time with my dad.
That's awesome. Well, first of all, you left me wide open when you said you are trying to have your dad be like Betty White. So I have to ask, when's going to be the transition surgery?
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. A 6'4" Italian man, I wouldn't hold your breath.
But, it does. I'm recording an episode on a day. I normally, just so those of you who know and you follow me, I do what's called batch recording. So I choose Mondays to be the day that I have a period in my schedule that I record the podcast. And anything that we can do to set ourselves up, as you mentioned, for success. And I just know this is when I do my podcasts. But today is a Thursday. And I also want to highlight, before I go into the punchline and why I wanted to do this special episode, is that this is going to be one of the only times that Lynn and I do an interview where she's a year older than I am, because she just turned 56 and I've got a birthday to turn 56 the following week. So you're older than me, nanny.
Yeah. Well, in the ADHD space, I'm going to say I may be older, but I'm not wiser than you. You are thoroughly getting educated in this space. So I am following your lead on that. Even though I'm aging a little faster than you by 2 weeks.
Yes.
I think
20 days, almost 3, but that's semantic.
Yeah.
So I actually I called Lynn yesterday, and this is going to sound crazy. And, in the world of ADHD, and in fact, I just did a book club interview where one of the questions that was asked to me is how it felt to overshare and put so much that was so vulnerable and private in my book. And I jokingly said, at the International ADHD Conference, there was a bingo card. And one of the bingo things that you could check off was, who did you overshare with? Because that's such an ADHD thing. So this, in the world of oversharing, this is going to be among the top of the oversharing that I will do. So now drum roll. The reason that I wanted to record this episode is that for the last 8 years, I have been tracking my period with a period tracker on my phone, which, by the way, I wish that that had existed when I was young because I would never have any idea when my period was coming. And that'll be part of this story. But today I am officially a menopausal woman. It is the
Congratulations. Welcome
I
to
don't yeah, I mean, and that's, it's like it's a very weird, like, wow, I just hit a year. Like, and I remember, so here's what's crazy. So I had asked you yesterday, I said, Lynn, I'm going to be a menopausal woman tomorrow. We have to mark this milestone because there's a lot that I'm feeling about it. And I thought it would be better to talk with someone about it than, just rant because that's certainly more interesting. But this is true story. My sixth grade best friend, who I'm going to be visiting Jacksonville next week to see you and see my mom and do some of our work for Sparkler Society. But I set a coffee date to see my sixth grade best friend. So we've been friends since we were 11. And she literally texted me this picture yesterday. It's called Menopause Barbie. And I'm like, that's so crazy because I remember she was one of the first people that I told when I got my period, because that was back in the day when we were all reading Judy Blume. And Judy Blume had, "Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret." And
Mhm.
I don't know, but Lynn, were you one of those we must increase our best people?
Yeah, I had a friend that, yeah, we were doing that.
Mm. So I'm not even kidding when I tell you that this is the story about me getting my very first period. I would pray for my period. I was almost 13 years old. So my birthday's in January. It was October, right before I turned 13. And I'm literally on the bathroom praying, please, God, please give me my period. They say be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
Well, I look down and there's blood. And I mean, it's probably one of the more exciting things in my life. So full circle. But anyway, I have to share with you what this menopausal Barbie says. And I'm going to see if we can share it in the link. When people watch this on YouTube, they'll be able to see it. And I think there'll maybe able to be a link to a picture. I'm not sure, but you probably could just go online and find the image pretty easily. But it says it's a Barbie with her hair up in the messy bun, a big coffee in her hand, her phone in her hand. It says 5 relatable accessories to do. And then the to dos are call her doctor, buy milk, sort life. That was number 3. Then you see the ADHD meds. Those are on the bottom. And oversized coffee, mini to-do list, ADHD meds, 5 relatable accessories. So I thought it was very funny that the perimenopausal Barbie also mentioned ADHD.
Like,
And
don't you remember for Halloween, I dressed up as the menopause Barbie and I had all those things with me, plus I had a fan and like a towel.
And that is so you, and absolutely, in fact, the fact that I do remember it just goes to show our Swiss cheese, sieve brains because, I don't remember random things, but I do remember that that was your costume. How clever are you, Lynn?
Well, I figured, me in a Barbie box, probably I needed to explain myself. Menopause Barbie was the way to go, and I had actually bought a shirt 2 sizes too small, and
Mhm.
I had a tan shirt underneath it to just let my belly hang all out. I got my outfit from Walmart and yeah, and I had a shirt that was like, "Not today." Like, look, like, "You're not gonna get by me today because like, I'm menopause Barbie. I know what's going on." But,
When did you officially mark your menopause?
you know, I guess I wasn't watching it as closely as you. I've never done that period tracker app, although I probably should have because obviously I had PMS symptoms that probably would have helped. Maybe I should have put that app on my husband's phone so it would have helped
Mhm.
explain sort of like when I was too tired to do the things that I do. But I would say, I mean, I've been over that hump for about 3 years now, 3 or 4 years. And the first thing that I kind of enjoyed when I realized it wasn't coming anymore was getting rid of all my tampons. I mean, to me, that was just like, of course, I haven't been on hormones for a long time because my husband agreed to get a vasectomy. So I've just let my hormones flow, which is another reason why I think that I might have gone over the top a little faster than some of my friends. But I would say my celebration was I opened up my drawer and I had, for some reason, I thought it was going to continue forever. So I had bought this humongous box of varying sizes of tampons because I didn't know what I was going to get. And I just tossed that out. I mean, obviously, that's something you can't drop at Goodwill. I just tossed it out. Again, that's another example of just money loss because I overspent. I thought it was going to go on forever. So I bought a big old Costco package. And so there was that. The other thing that I think is interesting is I'm actually one of those people that I am trying to sort of white knuckle my way through it. So when I was in London with a friend of mine who was also in the same position I was, she's about 4 years older than me. Her and I were jackets on, jackets off, jackets on, jackets off, hair up, hair down, hair up. And our husbands were just watching us do this dance of hot flashes. So it was really interesting. And I've been
Mhm.
sort of doing that ever since.
How did you feel about it? Because, like, I'm feeling feelings about, like, that chapter is over. And, when we're young, little, we don't think about our periods and it's a nothing. And then when you realize that that's something that comes and it makes you a woman, and like me, some people, were excited to have that happen. And in fact, in Judaism, there is a tradition where you're supposed to slap the girl across her face when she gets her period. And I can't recall. I'm going to look it up when we take a break because I did look it up before. I was telling a friend of mine who has teenage daughters about it. So again, I was excited. And then you have your period and then you have your babies. And then that's a whole other challenge to your body. And then this is, oh my gosh, now it feels like that is the marker to that third chapter in our lives. And
Yeah.
so I'm feeling, I mean, I hate to use this term because it's so cliche, but it's true. I'm feeling all the feels.
Yeah. I think the way I felt about it was from a physical standpoint, especially after my husband had the vasectomy, I was like, why do I need a period? Like, I don't want this anymore. Like, I'm done. I'm dealing with this. And then, of course, there was such variety as you head towards the end of menopause, not to get too gross, but there were times where I wasn't prepared for what was happening. And there were times that I was like overly prepared. So the unpredictability of like, can I go swimming? Can I go to this thing? Can I wear wide pants? Was a little much. But I would like to say that I like this chapter. I know it comes with a little bit weight gain. I never really used to carry weight in my middle. And I suddenly found out I woke up one day and like somebody put a barrel over my body and I don't know where my waist went. And
Mhm.
so I've been trying to kind of work to get my waist back. But I think you come to a point of sort of body acceptance. And now I'm sort of thinking, and I hate to bring this all the way back to ADHD, but I'm kind of thinking that ADHD menopausal women, I feel like we're going to live forever. I feel like I have more energy than some of my friends who are in menopause who don't have it.
Mm.
Are you noticing that?
I've always had so much energy that it's gonna be hard to say, and again, this is day 1. I mean, but unlike you, I did not choose to white knuckle it. I am on all of the hormone replacement because I recognized truthfully that my ADHD was going to impact my day-to-day life and my business. And,
Mm.
as a business owner with people relying on me, I could not afford to drop all the balls. But really, the other thing that happens, so with my situation, I ended up back in 2020, I was doing avid yoga, 6 days a week sometimes. And even with COVID, I was doing yoga with my friends over Zoom, the ones that I would do in the studio. But then I got frozen shoulder and I couldn't even do shavasana. Did that just freeze for you?
No, no,
It
I'm
just
good.
took you off of my screen. That was so crazy. So there was my squirrel. So I couldn't even do shavasana. And so my yoga practice was impacted. By the way, I went to my doctor, I went to an orthopedic. No one suggested that it could be menopausal, perimenopausal related. Nobody.
Oh,
Yeah. And then so the brain fog, I just felt like I didn't have it together even more than I normally didn't have it together.
what?
But then the thing that really put me over was the pain. I had so much pain I couldn't exercise. And for me, when you have ADHD, that exercise is really, really critical to our bodies and what we need. And I mean, that's one of the number one things. In fact, David Gawork, who I respect immensely, has been on a podcast. He actually founded the ADHD training, or called ADCA, ADD Coach Academy. And he will not even take a client unless they're on an exercise regime. So I can't exercise. So I'm like, I got to do something. And I will tell you that about 3 months into taking the hormones, everything came back. My sex drive came back. The body pain went away. I was able to sleep. That was the other thing. I could not go through the night without getting up like every 2 hours to go to the bathroom. And that's not good when you can't sleep. And all of a sudden I could sleep through the night again. So, and honestly, a lot of people don't take the hormones because they did some studies, some really incorrect studies on the wrong demographic. And now they're going back and realizing that the study that they based all of this don't go on to hormones really wasn't accurate. And there's so many benefits to being on hormones. And by the way, Lynn, if you're to do them, they say you need to do them within a certain amount of time of going through menopause. Otherwise, they're not going to be effective. So anyway, I am on all of the hormones, and God bless the hormones. That's all I have to say. And
Well, yeah, I may have missed my window, Jami. I
I
may have
don't
missed
think
the window.
I don't think you did. I think I've heard within 5 or 10 years or something. I'm not a doctor, so please check that one out. But don't like I have to white knuckle it either. Like, why? Why do you have to white knuckle it? And maybe do some research on the benefit of hormones. But this is not about that.
Well, yeah, but I think the other thing too, I should probably just go ahead and admit my self-medication strategy because anyone who's going to be joining the Sparkler Society is going to hear about my personal addiction, and I'm okay with it. I'm
Nodding my
because
head.
I have seen some memes where I am not alone. Maybe I will start a little chat group called "I Love Diet Coke," and I don't know why. Maybe we can get a Diet Coke sponsor, but I don't know why it's only Diet Coke. There can be no Diet Pepsi. Some people have tried to get me Diet Dr. Pepper, especially if I'm staying at a Marriott because they don't offer Diet Coke. Secret, they do offer Diet Coke. You have to ask for it. But Diet Dr. Coke is what I've been using to kind of get me out of that brain fog sort of thing. Now, it's not just any Diet Coke. I just want to put this out there. It has to come from a fountain drink. It has to be like 90%
Wait,
ice and
can
like
we have a
10%
squirrel?
Coke.
Can we have a squirrel moment for a second?
Yes.
Okay, so go ahead. When Lynn came to stay with me, I had stocked up Diet Coke, not realizing it was the fountain situation. So one morning, and Lynn's been like, not only does she help with the Sparkler Society and she's a partner in that, but she was also helping me with Silver Linings Transitions, which plug for my business is my move management and home organizing business in San Diego. And one of the things that we've shared is that I'm not good with computers and systems and technology. And so Lynn came in to look at how we were running and really systemize some of our processes. So she was like really working hard. And she's like, Jami, could you please go to McDonald's and get me like a real proper Diet Coke? And I'm like, okay, you're taking such good care of me. I'm going to do this for you. Well, I don't go to McDonald's. For those of you who haven't heard, I had cancer 21 years ago. And I try for the most part to put reasonably healthy things into my body. So I'm always shaking my head when I give Lynn the Diet Coke. In fact, she knows like to even have it in my house. It's painful for me to watch her have this Diet Coke. But anyway, I decide that I'm going to be a good friend and I'm going to go get her that big jumbo Diet Coke. And because I'm not used to going to McDonald's, I run the curb and I now have the first accident in my car. I've had my car for 4 years and I have it. I don't even want to say what I have because I'm embarrassed about it, but that's a whole political thing. But I've never had a car with sensors. And so every other car I've ever had has had dings in it. Every other car. And I even said probably earlier in this podcast, not this specific episode, but like this is the first time I've driven a car that doesn't have a ding. Well, now thanks to Lynn and her Diet Coke, we broke my record.
I told her when she came back, I asked for a Diet Coke, not a Diet Coke and a ding.
How was it your fault? Because I wouldn't have gone to McDonald's. So, it wasn't a place I was used to going. And, anyway.
So yeah. So that is yeah. So I'm not on hormones. I am on Diet Coke. I will, mention Diet Coke several times. Again, in the Sparkler Society, maybe as Diet Coke people start a chat because I have seen several memes, especially women my age, this is the one thing that we are kind of saying we don't want to give up. Now, I've been in a restaurant where a waitress has walked up And I heard a table over, two other women, where the waitress came up and they said, "Do you have Diet Coke?" And the waitress said, "No, we have Diet Pepsi." And she was obviously a younger woman. And they were like, "Never mind, give us some wine." And I was like, "Diet Coke to wine,
Mhm.
that resonates. That is accurate. Like, if you have Diet Pepsi, then I'm gonna have to go to wine."
Yeah. Well, I want to go back to the menopause because so
Yeah,
this is another interesting thing. So I also want to share with you that my best friend, what I am discovering is that we were a generation of people who were not diagnosed with ADHD, but we are realizing that we have ADHD because our children are being diagnosed, and when we're
yeah,
learning about their diagnosis, we're like, oh, ding, ding, ding. But our mothers and our mothers didn't benefit from that because we were not diagnosed. We were the kids that were not diagnosed. So anyway, my best friend from middle school, what I'm discovering is that the majority of my very good friends through the years had ADHD, which totally, makes sense now. But when I started to learn about ADHD and I reached out to her, I'm like, oh, she totally had it. And this funny thing is that earlier in the week when we were texting about getting together, and I'm going to share with you some of the text messages because I think people will relate. We were talking about, I said, wait. Hold on. I'm going to find this for you. I basically said, "What do you think of my ADHD thing?" This is my question. She goes, "Congratulations. So excited for you, a published author." I said, "Does the message resonate?" Crickets. So this was back on Sunday. Oh, no, this was Saturday. I did not hear from her. So then, of course, my rejection sensitivity ruminating mind is like, oh, I offended her. She doesn't want to acknowledge it. And now she's not talking to me. So that's where I go to. So then yesterday, she sends me this meme of the perimenopause Barbie. And I said, funny, you should send that today. Tomorrow marks 1 year since my last period. So we go into this conversation. And then I say that I basically remembered that she had lied about getting hers because she actually had it. She was one of those kids that got it early, but she was embarrassed that she had it. So she waited for everybody to catch up. And then, she told everybody. She told me that one of her children is being evaluated for ADHD. Well, ding, ding,
right,
ding.
right. Ding, ding. Yeah,
Said, I was going to mention that to you, that given what I know about ADHD and you as a child, I suspect you have it. And it runs heavily in families. All three of my children have it. And then she said, yes, her middle child has already been diagnosed. And they said that the kids said that they think that their father has it. I'm like, well, I think you have it too. And then I said, she used to twirl her hair all the time. Like she was constantly, which I've learned is a stimming thing. And that's very much an ADHD thing. And I used to chew the collars of not the collars, I used to chew the ribbons of my shirt, or I would chew my hair, I would chew pencil. And then Penn Holderness talked about, you could see pictures of him with his collar chewed. So that chewing thing or that doing something, did you do anything like that?
yeah. I had pencils, and then I don't know if thumb sucking, like when you were younger, used to drive my mom crazy. I did that.
Oh, that's interesting because my youngest child who was diagnosed also was a thumb sucker. I
Yeah, yeah. That might.
Anyway, so I was telling her why she had it, and I basically said something like, "I would give you $100 if you didn't have it. I'm so sure that you have it. And by the way, 80% of people who have it don't realize they do." Now, here's the other part. She is a high school teacher.
Mhm.
And so we start talking about all of the symptoms of ADHD. Then she says, "I have diagnosed anxiety and depression and PTSD." And then I send her the meme with the Scooby meme, which I've shared before. The top one is, who's the blonde guy from Scooby Doo?
Fred.
Fred. So, you know how the villain was
Yeah.
always, so the villain says depression and anxiety. And then it says, let's see who this really is. And they pull off the mask and it's untreated ADHD.
That was me as a child. I
Yep.
mean, that was me as a child, anxiety. And so, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And so I read a little bit more about the book, which I'm going to give her a signed copy when I see her. And she goes, sound interesting. And that makes sense. ADHD is for middle school boys that won't sit down. Now, this is a teacher.
Wow.
And that is what she knows of ADHD in this day and age. So that was one thing I wanted to share because, and I did yoga this past week. And I think I talked about that in another, but I'll share it in a year. Though the yoga instructor made a couple comments. And of course, I'm always
hearing it in people. And I go up to her afterwards and she's like, "Oh yeah, my son has ADHD." And I'm like, "Well, I bet you do too." Now, I just want to say this. I can't diagnose anybody. I'm not a doctor. You need to find a therapist in your area who understands ADHD and can evaluate you. But even still, we don't have great ways of evaluating ADHD, especially in women or girls. It's the criteria that they're using for children. And by the way, ADHD changes as we age, so it doesn't look the same way. So the criteria isn't going to be the same. And they're missing one of the biggest parts of ADHD from the DSM-5, which is the emotional dysregulation. They don't really talk about that, but that's one of the biggest challenges of ADHD is that mood swing, which I'm going to bring back to our hormones.
Yeah. Well, and I'm looking forward to a time where we also talk about all the strengths and really focus in on the strengths. You'd sent me that one podcast with that doctor, and I can't recall his name, but
Dr. Hallowell is like the, expert in ADHD. He was at
yeah,
Harvard.
yeah,
And
Harvard, and he's written several, and he talks about
he books.
strength training. I really like that, focusing on the strengths and finding what is your difficult. And being at this age and being a menopause woman in my third act, man, I'm looking forward to really focusing on finding my next difficult, my next inspiration, and using all those ADHD superpowers. For me, this is like the best time. And then it's so funny because when I was in California with you, we had the best time. And then all I can think about is looking forward to our Golden Girls house, where clearly I think everybody in the house is going to have ADHD.
Well, so here's going to be a challenge. Lynn and I decided that we were much younger, and I was married to my first husband at the time, that we were going to eventually outlive our husbands and move into the Golden Girls house. But I threw a monkey wrench into that plan because my fiance is 9 years younger than I am. So you're going to really have to live a long time because I got to outlive him, or you're going to have to move in with us. And he doesn't have ADHD, so we'll have to see how that goes. We're going to take a pause right now because that's how I keep the lights on. That is how I feed Benji snacks to keep him quiet for the podcast. But, this information is given to you because I am so passionate about making a difference in your life. And actually, when we do come back, I do want to talk about my feeling on the strengths of ADHD and why we have it. So if you are enjoying this podcast, please share it and like it because we need a lot of people need to understand the impact of ADHD, and even my friend yesterday said, "Well, why does it matter at this point?" And I'm like, it is game changing when you could put systems in place that you understand yourself, that you stop beating yourself up. And there's so much that goes into that. So we're going to take a pause, but please like this podcast, share it. And if you want to be with Lynn and me more, then you are going to want to join the Sparkler Society. That is a membership for women. We're not going to discriminate against men. If you guys want to be there with us, okay. But it's really for middle-aged women, I would say 40-ish and above, who definitely are impacted by the changes in life and trying to, keep it all together our whole lives. And now rediscovering who we are and living the best way we can. And a couple of the things that I know about ADHD is we need accountability and we need group support. And we just are motivated by doing things together, having deadlines. Lynn's going to be doing tech support. We have so much that we have planned. So you're going to want to go to jamishapiro.me. That's JAMISHAPIRO. I had to think about that one for a minute. .me, because I couldn't get .com, to check out the Sparkler Society and learn more about us. We are locking people in. If you join before March 1st, by February 28th, you will get lifetime access to our entry rate. But after that, we are, who knows where we're going to go? Because I think we're going to save so many men, women, so much money and so much sanity that we're going to be worth every penny and more. Anything else you want to say about that before we take a pause?
I like to say that the component that I am looking forward to bring is really kind of helping you with technology and having technology work for you. A lot of people are saying that the technology is actually hurting people with ADHD because it's just constant notifications and that type of stuff. So just know that we've built this platform not to overwhelm you. And so I'm keeping it very simple and very easy to use and provide you a lot of support. But then also, we can talk about some of your other technology habits and some strategies. So really looking forward to that because, now everybody is wanting our attention and we want to give everybody our attention because that's who we are. But, we can talk about ways to maybe turn off that tech for a little bit and focus on what it is that gives you value. So,
Okay, so we're going to pause and then we're going to come back and talk about why I think ADHD exists. So be right back.
uh,
You know that voice in your head, the one that's been asking, "What's wrong with me?" for decades? The one that whispers when you're looking for your keys again? When you're staring at piles that seem to multiply overnight? When you cancel plans because you can't face people seeing your home? When you buy the organizing book, the planner, the storage bins, convinced this time will be different? What if I told you there's nothing wrong with you? What if everything you've been beating yourself up about, the clutter, the forgotten appointments, the impulse purchases, the half-finished projects, the sensitivity, what if it all makes sense? That's why I'm introducing the Sparkler Society, a community designed specifically for women like us, women who've spent decades feeling too much and not enough at the same time. This isn't another organizing system that won't stick. You'll have weekly decluttering sessions, body doubling sessions to work alongside other people who also have unfinished projects, craft swaps, and an opportunity to save money and stop impulsive purchases. Most importantly, this is a place to feel seen and understood. We're opening our doors to founding members only until February 28th, and here's why that matters. Founding members lock in their rate for life, whether you join our Ignite Circle at $27 a month or our Radiate Circle at $67 a month. That rate is yours to keep as long as you're with us. It's time to stop apologizing for who you are. It's time to start inviting people in, not because your house is perfect, but because you're ready to shine. Visit jamishapiro.me to become a founding member before February 28th. That's JAMISHAPIRO.me and look for the Sparkler Society. I can't wait to do this with you. Moving can feel overwhelming, whether you're downsizing, relocating, or helping a loved one transition. There are so many decisions to make, details to handle, and emotions to navigate. At Silver Linings Transitions, we believe every move should be magical, not stressful. We're more than movers. We expertly guide you through the entire process and do our best to alleviate your concerns. From the moment we meet, you'll feel comfortable because we will listen to your needs and wants and work together to create a personalized plan that honors your memories and your cherished belongings while helping you embrace your next chapter. We visit your new space and create a detailed floor plan, ensuring your furniture and treasured belongings will fit safely. We handle the logistics so you don't need to worry about anything, from sorting and packing to coordinating the sale and donation of unwanted items. Our professional team uses efficient, eco-friendly bins and handles every detail with care. We coordinate with our vetted moving partners, oversee the logistics, and ensure nothing is left behind, even packing your refrigerator items. Here's where the magic happens. We don't just unpack, we recreate the feeling of home. Using photos from your previous space, we thoughtfully arrange your furniture, hang your pictures, and set up your kitchen and bathroom so everything feels familiar from day one. When you walk into your new space, it's not just moved in, it's home. Your coffee pot is ready, your favorite photos are perfectly placed, your bed is made, and your new chapter begins with comfort and joy instead of chaos. This is how Silver Linings Transitions makes moves magical. We handle the emotional lifting and the logistics so you can focus on what matters most, settling into your new home. Because every move deserves a silver lining.
We're back. Okay, really quickly, one thing before we go on to the positives of ADHD, one of the things that I learned that I wish that I had known is that women with ADHD have rougher periods, we tend to be more emotional. We tend to have more cramping. I wish I had known that. I remember my period being so bad that I would need to miss school because I just could not. And I didn't know. And my mood was so up and down. I was so uncontrollable that, again, I think these girls now or women who know they have ADHD and are going through their periods, they've got a playbook that we didn't have. And I also want to just another thing out. I literally ended up with a zit on my nose, like a big whitehead yesterday, which I'm like, wait, I'm supposed to be in menopause. I'm still getting pimples. But now they have these stickers that you can decorate your pimples, and you can decorate them, you can camouflage them, and then they pull the stuff. Did you know this?
No, I wish they had that. I used to have that problem when
Or like putting stars on their pimples. I'm like, there's so many good things. And I bet that was invented by someone with ADHD. So that leads me to the good. And, ADHD absolutely has its challenges, but oh my, are we like, I'm one of those people, by the way, that I believe that those of us who were born with ADHD have it for a reason. And I think when you understand the power of your brain and you harness that power, like watch me, watch what I can do, right?
yeah, well, I'm sitting here in this elderly community where my father lives. It's a 55 and older.
What's
And
community?
what's that?
That's not an elderly community because you are 56, but it's
No,
a
whatever. A senior. I don't know what politically correct way we call it, but people 55 and older. My dad being 85. So my dad is 85. Next door, I believe she's in her 80s. So yesterday, of course, me being the way that I am, I forgot the key to my dad's house. So I had to go to the next door neighbor. And when I was hanging out with the next door neighbor, she was a very successful entrepreneur. And when I went into her house and was talking to her, I was like, another fellow elderly ADHD person. So as she was there in the house looking for the key to give to my dad, for me to get in the house, she was talking about several of the businesses that she had started over the years. Cause I told her, about what you and I are doing. And then she started talking about them and, oh, this life, and not just her past life, but the things that she was doing just this week, all the things that she was going to up at the clubhouse. She was in this book club. I said, oh, she was getting ready to head out the door because she was going to go exercise fabulous. She looks great, very, very healthy. And it just got me very excited about this third act. And I was like, yeah, maybe I should just go walk around the neighborhood. Mhm. Who else is out and about? But that is what I'm hoping, again, our Golden Girls house is full.
So we have this brain, right? And it does need stimulation. And one of the things that I've learned is just like autism exists on a spectrum, ADHD exists on a spectrum. And also it can cycle through. Like we can have periods where in fact, from what I have heard possibly, that when we are pregnant, because we have more estrogen, our ADHD is more under control. But we have this amazing brain and we need to learn to work with the brain. And that's why Ned Hallowell, going back to him, he uses the term, it's like having a Ferrari brain and bicycle brakes. Because if you craft this brain and you work with this brain and you figure out like, what am I good at? Where am I, like you with the technology? Like this is where I excel, right? And so give me technology and watch what I can do with technology. But ask me to do technology and I'm literally going to like start stuttering and I'm going to shut down on you. I'm going to like completely go into my amygdala brain. So it's like figuring out what we're good at and what lights us up and then putting our energy towards that. And so I think that what we need to understand is that we can achieve anything we want to if we want to. And if we don't want to, if we're sitting in that math class and math doesn't interest us, well, no wonder your math grade is going to suck, right?
Yeah.
So I believe, to use Lady Gaga's term, baby, we were born this way. Like, I heard it in another podcast. I love Tracy Otsuka. I can't remember the doctor. It was a Black woman doctor was saying that only 3% of doctors are Black women, but she also is a Black woman with ADHD. So she was about, the stigma of ADHD. And she's like, none of us chose it. Like it chose us, right? Like it chose us. And so now that this is who you are, harness that energy. So we're creative, we're innovative, we're funny. I mean, that's one of the things I've discovered is that you see an ADHD person in their zone, they light up, right? Like they are like a magnet. So, yeah.
Yeah. And you have to have a good sense of humor, especially as you age. I have to say that everybody that I've met among my dad's friends, they have a very healthy sense of humor
Mhm.
about everything that's going to be coming our way and what life throws at us. And then the other part I think we haven't talked about at this time in our lives, it's a great time to focus on ourselves. I mean, I love my children. I do. I just want to put it out there. Love you. But kind of glad that that part, is over where as a woman, I felt like I did put myself kind of children first, me second, and then somewhere in there, I did put some effort towards my husband, and I think Brian as well with you now is like, let her fly. I really like the place that I am in life and in my marriage and the partner that I've chosen who is not going to hold me back from being me. And that's going to be great because I'm still figuring out who he is
Mhm.
and working on my superpowers. I love technology. And then there are times I'm not a big have text with a ping on my phone, but I'm surrounded by a lot of people that I hear the ping, 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 or I hear their ping on their watches, or you go out to lunch and I hear pings and other people. But that's okay. That's their lives. And, I'm still learning. And I read that book, Let Them Have Their Pings with their text and their watches. But from a technology standpoint, that's not my jam. Unfortunately, that will draw me in like almost too much. So yeah, discovery and excitement and strengths. That's where we're going.
Yeah. Well,
You and I have talked, I think we need to mention this. You and I several times have said we need a partnership together. And so this particular project, I just want to let you know, I was up till 2 in the morning last night because I was in my hyper focus and I completely redid some other parts of the platform. And so I'm really looking forward to us talking and showing that to you when you come in town. So just know that I'm finding my difficult and I'm finding my partnership. You and
yeah.
I, ready.
Yeah. Lynn and I have always wanted to work together. We've tried a few things and nothing stuck. We did another podcast, didn't stick. But when you find that thing that completely lights you up, and with ADHD, we need a passion. Most people do, by the way, but we especially will thrive. And I've actually heard like if you want to get something done, you find people who have ADHD and let that be their zone of genius. But I will say one more thing in closing about this like menopause thing, right? And I'm trying to approach it using one of my ADHD superpowers, and that's curiosity. And that's also something that I've spoken about in this podcast, and it helps with successful aging, is to be curious. It's like, and that's one of the wonderful things about ADHD. Like, we don't have superficial conversations. We want to understand how somebody thinks the way they think and why they think the way they think. And we're not like, how's the weather? Because that's going to bore us. We don't do boredom. Okay. We're allergic to boredom. So the curiosity of, okay, like as I'm chiseling away at all of the things Jami was and taking off the responsibilities of the children and, the hormonal fluctuation, because I absolutely had the hormonal fluctuation. Who am I? What lights me up? I mean, I kind of figured it out already, really. Like, if I'm just doing more and more of this because every time someone realizes they have ADHD and they can connect with my message, I just feel like I was put on earth to deliver this message. I mean, that we are here at this time doing what we're supposed to be doing. But I wanted to mark the menopause thing because, I mean, it's going to be there for all of posterity. It'll hopefully outlive me. But just to say, like, I wasn't as excited about approaching menopause as I was about getting my period, but I do want to share one funny thing with you. So, when you go through menopause, like you, I would go like 50 days without having a period, and then I'd have one after 2 weeks, right? So there was no rhyme or reason. And I will also say, because my fiance is 9 years younger than me, aging has been something that I haven't really wanted to openly discuss because he's not in the stage that I'm in yet. Like, he's not having the issues that a man in his 50s would have because he's still a man in his 40s. So that's been part of why. And when we started dating, I was 50 and I had a regular period, like almost every 30 days. So he's seen me go through that. But I remember thinking that I was kind of sad that this was coming to an end. And then I swear to you, God threw the period from hell at me. And it was like, get this away from me. I mean, the pain and the gushing. And I'm like, oh, good one. And I think that was my last period, by the way. And it
Yeah.
was like, it's gonna, it's all of it. It's you think you want this, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. That's where it's crazy because you mentioned like a milestone. Like I had opened up that bathroom drawer 1,000 times and had never seen that ginormous box of tampons until I believe God said, "Oh no, you are really done. Like you are done. Like you keep thinking you're not done, but you are officially done." And the day I threw away, I guess that would be my acceptance of not anticipating that happening anymore. And so that must have been my day. But I didn't get to call you, Jami, on that day because it just seemed like it was the right thing to do. And interestingly enough, I was kind of surprised my husband didn't prompt me because it was taking a large share of the drawer. It was Costco. So he didn't prompt me to do it. And maybe that's because he was like, I don't know what's going on with you. I mean, he didn't really know what was going on with me. And maybe he definitely didn't notice other than I didn't have as many of those big mood swings. So I actually had positive menopause effects that my sex drive kind of skyrocketed, similar to when I was pregnant. There were some times when I was pregnant where I don't know if I got a flush of something that was like, I need you right now. So he did get that positive rush thing.
Okay. Well, this was fun. I so appreciate that I got to share this with you. And I'm not sure when this is going to air yet, if we're going to drop it on a Tuesday, you know, but I just, like I said, I wanted to mark this. What better way than to do it this way? So anything else you want to say in closing? Because of course I've stacked my appointments too tight to each other and I've got another one I got to get on.
No. Thank you for letting me join and talk to you about this. And yeah, I'm glad we recorded it. This was interesting.
Yeah, me too. Okay, well, everybody, thank you for listening. Thank you for letting me be TMI, too much information all over you, oversharing. Because if you have ADHD or you suspect you have ADHD, then this is going to be a conversation that you're going to feel like you could have had with one of your best friends. And I just appreciate having this platform in this space to be among my people. So please go out and make the rest of your life what, Lynn? Come on,
What?
bring it.
Yeah.
Your life,
Magical, sparkly.
bro. The
What?
best.
The best. Oh, I forgot. That's the best. Okay.
So say
I'm
it
gonna go
again.
drink some more Diet Coke.
So say it, the whole thing. How do I end my podcast, Lynn?
Make the rest of your life the best of your life. Okay.
I would say I couldn't have said it better, but really I could.
The opinions expressed on Grandma Has ADHD podcast are those of our guests and hosts and are intended for informational and entertainment purposes only. This podcast does not provide medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. The content discussed in this episode is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician, mental health professional, or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or mental health concern. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you have heard on this podcast. If you think you may have a medical emergency, call your doctor or emergency services immediately. The host, guests, and producers of Grandma Has ADHD do not assume any liability for the content of this podcast. Listen at your own discretion.